Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm Kristen Finley, registered licensed dietitian and the owner of Be Well 365, coming to you live from El Paso, Texas. And this is our lifestyle change series, Think, Eat, and Move Right. So today is episode number 4, Eat Right Consistency. We'll discuss number 6 on the agenda, which you can download from the handouts page under products on the website, which is bewell365.com. We'll spend today and next week on the Eat Right portion of the series, and today's episode is a little bit longer. If you can't stay for it, don't worry. I won't be taking the episodes down, and you can watch it at your leisure. I hope you had a chance to download the Food Guide Pyramid revised handout from the handouts page under products. I'm going to show you the handout. Okay. The handout just makes it easier for you to visualize the concept of consistency, and it's a fantastic tool for planning meals, and we're going to use it today when we plan our meals. There's a link to the handout in yesterday's Facebook post. Now, before we get started, I want to ask you if you're keeping your journal. Remember, we choose one food change and one activity change every week, and then practice those changes to create habits. So, were you able to practice yours? And did you create some habits? If you find it difficult if you find it difficult to get started with lifestyle change, then you may need to keep a journal. And to stay on track, and not forever, just about 6 months, that's about how long it takes to make a lifestyle change. So last week, we learned that balancing foods according to the effect that they have on blood sugar is the first step to eating right. And remember that we eat 3 macronutrients. We eat carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Carbohydrates raise blood sugar, and proteins and fats, we like to call them managers. They have little or no effect on blood sugar. So before we learn which foods are carbs and which foods are managers, let's explain the concept of consistency. When we use this word in conjunction with food, we mean eating small, frequent meals every 3 to 4 hours consistently. As we learned in the second class, human beings function better when eating in this manner because that's how we were created. Now, you may be saying, if I start eating 5 or 6 times a day, I'm going to gain weight. But not if you're eating in single portion sizes and eating from the food groups. And it does take practice, believe me. And especially if you're used to having your first meal about noon or 1 o'clock. But no worries, I'm going to teach you all about food groups, and next week we'll tackle portion sizes. So let's start by identifying which foods are which macronutrients. So we like to use the old-fashioned diabetic food guide pyramid because it groups foods more according to their effect on blood sugar. But we make a few changes to it for it to be an even more effective tool. So we're going to review those changes. The original diabetes food guide pyramid, it looks like this. It's on the website as well, and you can download both of them if you like to compare. But we are going to be using the revised one as our tool. So let's start at the top. We've removed alcohol from the fats group, and although it is a discussion that we have when we're teaching diabetes management, it's not included in the scope of this series. Sweets have been moved down to the grains, beans, and starchy vegetables group, commonly called the starch group back in the day. Ice cream is moved to the milk group. Nuts have been moved to the meats and others group rather than the fats group. And now fats have their own food group at the top of the pyramid. You see? Now, on this pyramid, we have also identified the macronutrients for you right on the handout, which are circled. So there are 3 groups that are carbohydrates. It's noted in yellow. They are the they are the grains, beans, and starchy vegetables group, the fruits group, and the milk group. And then we've also noted that they are the groups that increase blood sugar. So right on the handout, you can see it. The 3 groups have yellow carbs by it and increased blood sugar. There are 2 groups that are proteins, and they're noted in red. That's the meat and others group and the vegetables group. And then lastly, the fats group at the top is all by itself. Now, remember from the last class, and several times we've already said, carbohydrates raise blood sugar. There are 3 groups considered carbs. Managers, the proteins and fats, have little or no effect on blood sugar, and there are 3 groups considered managers. So in summary, the way that we balance our meals according to blood sugar is accomplished by eating from the food groups. If we plan our meals to include 1 serving from each food group, we have a perfect, balanced, small meal. So you put this pyramid on the fridge, and you can check each meal against it to be able to plan that perfect meal, or to see where you need to change the meal to make it a perfect meal. So now let's review each food group to make sure that we're all on the same page. And we're going to start with grains, beans, and starchy vegetables group, which includes sweets, my favorite. It is the base of the pyramid, and typically it makes up the majority of our meals, and the cheapest foods come from this group, and that's why it makes up the majority of our meals in many cases. Grains include all types of breads, crackers, cereal, pasta, tortillas, and rice. Beans include dry beans and legumes like pinto, kidney, black, navy, and white beans, including black-eyed peas and chickpeas. Starchy vegetables include potatoes, green peas, corn, parsnips, taro, plantain, butternut, and acorn squash, and certainly these are not inclusive lists. Sweets include cakes, cookies, pies, donuts, sweetbread, candy, all the sugary drinks like soda, Kool-Aid, power drinks, fruit drinks like Tang and Sunny Delight, and sweet tea. This is a good time to talk about sugar. Let's sidestep the food pyramid for just a moment. Let me ask you a few questions. So, did you know that we arrive on this earth with a taste for sugar? So the other 3 main tastes, sour, bitter, and salty, we acquire those tastes, but not the sweet taste. We're born with it. But do you know why? Well, it is because our brains only function on glucose, which is what sugar breaks down to in the body. So we're hardwired to look for and find sugar. And in the beginning of time, this was a genetic strength because sugar was scarce. In fact, in the 18th century, sugar was known as white gold and was more valuable than gold. But today, it's considered a genetic weakness because sugar is everywhere. And if we stop eating carbohydrates for some insane reason, our bodies are equipped to turn protein and fat into sugar, into glucose, because the brain is looking for glucose to function. Let me explain further about how we add sugar to everything. So let's think of carbohydrate and sugar as interchangeable words. There are 3 carbohydrates or sugars that come naturally in our food, and then there are added sugars. So the sugar or the carbohydrate found naturally in grains, beans, and starchy vegetables is called starch. The sugar or the carbohydrate found naturally in fruit and fruit juice is called fructose. And the sugar or the carbohydrate found naturally in milk, yogurt, and ice cream is called lactose. But we like to add sugar to sugar, right? Let me show you. Let's put some cinnamon sugar on our toast, or sprinkle a little sugar on our strawberries because they're just a little bit too tart, right? How about adding chocolate to our milk? Let's take it a step further and let's add sugar to our proteins and fats as well. How about when we put that sweet French dressing on our salad? Or we choose honey roasted peanuts instead of regular. How about adding that sweet sauce to salmon, or choosing breaded chicken instead of grilled chicken? So you see how we're adding sugar to sugar? And not only is our brain always telling us, always, to find sugar, but sugar actually makes everything taste better. And certainly, it makes the medicine go down, right? Remember Mary Poppins? Some of you do. Now, you should have a much better understanding of sugar and why sometimes it seems to be ruling our lives. Now, back to the food pyramid. So the fruits group includes all fresh, frozen, dried, and canned fruit, 100% fruit juice, and jams and jellies that are made from whole fruit. The milk group includes all milk from animals and plants, yogurt and ice cream, which, is milk with added sugar. Now, I want you to note that cheese and cottage cheese are not in this group. Now remember, this food pyramid groups foods more according to how they affect blood sugar. That's why I like it. Cheese and cottage cheese are considered meat substitutes because of the macronutrient makeup. They are low in the milk sugar lactose. And so they function more like meat regarding their effect on blood sugar. Now remember, the macronutrients are carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. Now we discuss managers. So let's start with the vegetables group, which includes all of the non-starchy vegetables, raw, frozen, or cooked. For example, all lettuces and greens, tomatoes, carrots, broccoli, cauliflower, radishes, red, yellow, orange, and green sweet peppers, all of the hot peppers, celery, asparagus, onions, cabbage, pumpkins, cucumbers, yellow and green squash, and zucchini, just to name a few. The meats and others group includes beef, pork, chicken, turkey, other poultry, fish, tuna, eggs, all cheeses, cottage cheese, nuts, the mini nut butters, and tofu. And the fats group includes all oils, lard, shortening, bacon grease, butter, margarine, cream cheese and sour cream, avocado, salad dressings, mayonnaise, sandwich spreads, white sauces and gravies. These are what I call the dumpies and the goopies, because it's the stuff that we dump on our food, and usually they're kind of goopy or gooey, right? So again, like sugar, it makes food taste so good. So now that you have a better understanding of the food groups, let's plan 3 perfect meals using our pyramid handout. So a perfect breakfast is a lovely vegetable omelet full of vegetables, a slice of whole grain toast with real butter, a cup of cold milk, and some fresh melon. So the toast is from the grains, beans, and starchy vegetables group. The butter is from the fats group. The egg is from the meat and others group. The veggies are from the vegetable group. The milk is from the milk group, and the melon is from the fruits group. Now, I just want to make a little note here. You could skip the melon and put some whole grain or some whole fruit jam on your toast and count it as a fruit. That's pretty cool. For lunch, let's choose 1/2 of a tuna salad sandwich with some fruited yogurt. So we'll have 1 slice of whole grain bread, and we'll make our tuna salad with lots of veggies. Let's get creative, and let's add some crushed walnuts, a few apple chunks, and a bit of real mayonnaise. choose Greek yogurt. I really like the vanilla Chobani. We can add some dried cranberries and some chopped walnuts to it. And then a tall glass of iced tea, unsweetened if possible, or else plain water to drink. So again, the bread is from the grains group, the tuna and nuts are from the meat group, the mayo, the fats group, the veggies from the vegetable group, the yogurt is from the milk group, and the cranberries and the apple chunks are from the fruit group. So are you getting the picture? The last meal is dinner. So how about a tender grilled steak, small baked potato with a dab of butter, sour cream, some chives, a bit of garden salad with some oil and vinegar dressing, fresh green beans with almonds, some real ice cream with a sprinkle of sweet blueberries for dessert, and water or iced tea to drink. So all you have to do is use the pyramid as a guide. So the steak is from the meat group, baked potato, the grains group, butter and sour cream, the fats group, salad and green beans from the vegetables group, of course, ice cream from the milk group, and blueberries from the fruits group. So start with a goal of 1 meal per week that is 100% from the pyramid. And then you just work up from that. You'll get better and better. I promise you, with practice, you'll become a pro. And you'll get to where that when you're at a restaurant, you can look at a meal and you'll know exactly where you are with the food groups and what you might want to tweak, to make it a little bit more of a perfect meal. Now, there's one more point I want to make. It's important. Meals should be 3 carbs and 3 managers. Okay, so maybe you might skip the milk group and have rice and bread at your meat. So you have your fruit, your rice, and your bread. There's your 3 carbohydrates. Sometimes you might choose 3 starches, no milk, no fruit, like with a spaghetti meal, which typically has, garlic bread, and then of course the pasta. So you might have your garlic bread, a serving, 2 servings of pasta. There's your 3 carbohydrates. Learn to keep your carbohydrates to 3 servings per meal. And the perfect meal, 1 starch, 1 fruit, 1 milk. But, you're able to mix and match like we were just saying. And then the 3 managers, the meat, the vegetable, the fat. I can almost give you a money back guarantee. You learn to eat like this, you'll lose probably 5 to 10% of your current weight in a 6-month period. So you see how we're balancing the meal, how we're using the pyramid as a tool. Snacks are easy, 1 carb and 1 manager. So for example, let's do a few. Cheese and crackers. So the cheese is the manager, the crackers are the carb. Corn tortillas with aguacate or avocado. So your tortillas are your carb, your avocados the manager. Chips and salsa. So the chips, that's the carb, and the salsa is the manager. So you'll get good at this as well. The trick is to learn to keep these snack foods on hand, not the cookies and the ice cream and the soda, right? With snacks, the hard part is portions, and especially if you're hungry because you've skipped a meal. So that's one of the subjects for next week. We're going to talk about portion sizes. So let's review a few resources on our website that will give you a deeper understanding of this concept of consistency, which is small meals and snacks. So the food guide pyramid that we use today as our tool, that is again on the handouts page under products, and that is the #1 resource for planning a perfect meal. It's just a wonderful tool, and I think you'll find that it works very easy for you. There are 2 full classes in the Journey to Wellness Signature course. We mentioned these last week, and they add a lot of detail on how to eat right for life. So the first class is Balanced Foods to Manage Blood Sugar, and it is in the diabetes management section of our signature course. That class provides more insight to the progression of diabetes, how it starts and how it progresses. The second class is There Are No Bad Foods, and that's in the weight management section of the course. And I want to point out that both of these classes teach the same way to eat. It's how we eat for diabetes. And on our YouTube channel at BeWell365, we have several helpful video shorts. The first one is called Let's Plan a Perfect Meal. And it's just like this exercise that we just went through when we were planning the meals. And then we have 2 video shorts on snacks. The first one, Healthy Snacks Are Out There. And the second one, Choose the Right Snack for Stress and the Blues versus Zapped Energy. And so both of those will give you some additional ideas for a perfectly balanced snack, a carbohydrate and a manager. So that's all we have for today. I know it was a lot, but the good thing is you can review the video again. I'm not going to take them down. And also next week is episode number 5, Eat Right, Moderation. We'll learn how to estimate portion sizes and an easy way to read food labels. It's called the 10% rule. You can prepare by downloading 3 handouts. The first one, food portion sizes, fat portion sizes is the second one, and the third, the 10% rule. And again, they're all on the handouts page under products on our website, BeWell365.com. And I'll also put the links in of the 3 handouts in the next week's Facebook post to make it even that much more easy for you. So I hope you had a wonderful day. Thank you for joining us and spending your time with us today. And I'll see you next week. Bye for now.